Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge, 5:41 a.m. Central Daylight Time, June 9th, 2019. We have from about 1933. I say that because their website says around the time, at the time of the end of Prohibition, which would be 1933. Justerini and Brooks wine brokers introduced their own brand of blended Scotch whiskey, and it's called J&B, Justerini and Brooks. Made with 42 different whiskeys, mostly, I guess, column still grain alcohol, but some single malt too. And then, and as a matter of fact, we'll go and bring that up. Oh, well. Going slower than I thought here because I'm not typing in the right link. Okay, I forgot. Here we go. All right. Now we're going up against Inver Green Plaid, introduced in 1961. All right. This is a liter bottle. It was $11.99 liter bottle. They haven't changed the label since it's been on the market. If they have, it's minimal. Yeah. The J&B was $18.99 on sale at what's that? ABC in Florida. You might know ABC, Fine Wine and Liquor. I think this was bottled on the 90th day of 2017, but these codes are hard, tricky. Now, I thought the Cuddy Sark would be easily discernible from the Inver House, but as you watched yesterday, if you watched, you'll notice that was not the case. And I was saying during the video, this is harder than I thought. J&J says, good morning to you. So Justerini and Brooks, distilled, blended, and bottled in Scotland, established in 1749. Now, these dates are very deceptive. It makes you think the Scotch is from 1749. They didn't even have blended Scotch in 1749. The brand is from 1933, okay? It's a Diageo brand to date. It says right there, imported by Diageo, okay? Aged for a minimum of 3 years. And guess what? You know it ain't longer than that. According to the Scotch whiskey regulations of the United Kingdom, this is a royal warrant Scotch, meaning that it is commissioned to the royal British family. Now, I don't know if Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth are sitting around drinking J&B. You know, it's just like an honorary thing to put on the bottle. You know what I'm saying? It's talking about King George III. Now, you know King George III died in 1820, so we're talking about J&B has been official suppliers to the royal family, the House of Hanover. And today, it's the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, so-called Windsor. Okay. All right, so they list all the kings and the 2 queens. All right. Master Uranus says, cheers, Ron. That's a nice beard you got going there, Ron. Yes. Thank you, Master. All right. So the Inver House is also 3 years old, 3-year age. So let's get started. I don't think this one is going to. Okay, J&B, 42 single malt and grain whiskeys. Carefully blends them to create a subtle, smooth, and complex flavor. It's delicate balance. You can read this yourself. But they said the heart of J&B are malt whiskeys from Speyside, a region recognized as a superior area in Scotland for making single malt whiskey. Recognized by whom? They don't supply that information. They provide the fruity, fresh quality you can taste. and also give J&B its light color. Added to that are some of the finest grain whiskey Scotland has to offer. Okay. My friend David was over here yesterday and we were talking about whiskey, and he was smelling a blended whiskey, and then he was smelling a straight bourbon made from by the same company, and he was seeing how they were related. All right. So that's that same concept, from straight to blended and from single malt to blended. Okay, but we don't want to get into all that. All right. Now, how many whiskeys are used in Inver House Green Plaid? I don't know. They don't say that. They're not going to tell you that. It is a real distilling company, though. It's a real company called Inver House Distilleries in Scotland. They're owned by a Thailand company, though, a company from Thailand. So there's a company in the Kingdom of Thailand who owns a company in the Kingdom of Scotland. Okay. Whoops. All right. Okay, I'll be right back. Try it again. Okay. Nice metal cap as opposed to the plastic cap that you get with the cheaper ones. Oh, but they have some expensive ones with plastic caps. All right. All right. $11.99 for a liter, 1,000 milliliters, as opposed to $18.99 on sale, I might add, on a deep discount for 750 milliliters. Now, which one do you think is going to be better? I think we can pretty much tell, but let's give it a fair challenge. There can only be one Ron. Yes. Well, there's a lot of people named Ronald, but there's only one that has Louisiana beer reviews and all of that. All right. It is lighter. The Justerini and Brooks is lighter, as we can clearly see. Well, you may not be able to clearly see. People tell me, you need to get a new camera. The camera is 720 p. I know it's not 1080, 4-dimensional, and a galactic. But for something like this, do you really need a high-quality camera? Because, I mean, what are we doing here? We're testing whiskey one to the other. You say, but I can't see the intricate qualities of your beard. You'll be all right without seeing that. You're not missing much. So this is darker, and maybe it's colored with some coloring. I don't know. They might be. They both might be. You know what? The United States government says Scotch whiskey is not allowed to have coloring. You say, well, then how can it have coloring? Easy. The United Kingdom's law says it can have coloring, and they don't have to tell you if it does. And if you read the U.S. regulations further, it says Scotch is imported according to the laws, regulations, and guidelines of the United Kingdom. So even though in a technical sense, Scotch brought to America cannot have coloring added, it's that fact is immaterial because it's imported according to the guidelines of Scotland, the United Kingdom. So really doesn't matter. Now, if the president and Congress said, well, we're going to change the rules, you gotta follow our guidelines, and then all of a sudden there was no Scotch imported. I don't know, you know what I mean? So if they didn't add color, and people would say, hey, all the Scotch went clear. What's going on? It's bad now. It all turned clear. Well, it's not that it's bad. It's that it's what it really looks like. All right. This smells kind of, now remember, grain whiskey is really corn, maize, column still. It's just they take corn and they distill it in a column, and it works kind of fast. A column still and it's like mass-produced grain whiskey. Now they use the finest grain whiskey in Scotland. J&B says. You say those all taste the same. I bet. I don't know. They're claiming it's little subtle differences, and it probably is. You and I probably couldn't tell them apart, but they can because they're experts. We're not. So this has a lot of that, but there's a little light quality also in the nose. So, okay. Not quite sure yet. Well, you know, there's some alcohol nose burn on here too, and grain burn. Now, my friend David was smelling the grain. He was smelling American blended whiskey yesterday. Okay. He's evaluating it. Now, on aroma, you can't tell really. Maybe, no, I don't want to say anything because I got bit yesterday talking too much and thinking I knew what I was doing. As we found out, I did not. I don't feel too bad about it though, because people will laugh sometimes and say, you need to give that up. You don't know what you're doing. What these blind taste tests. Okay. But my counterpoint is always, well, where's your video? You know, where's your blind taste test? No response. Or they'll say, I'm not doing that. Well, you know, maybe you should. I mean, you're obviously one of the world's greatest aroma and taste masters, so why don't you do it? The world would love to see this. You know, I'm out here doing it. You could do it. And you might say, you ain't nobody special. I know. Well, you ain't either. So get on the internet. Man up. You know, don't talk up. Man up. Walk up. Drink up. Whatever. Smell up. All right. All right. So the aroma is a washout. So let's go with the taste, heck. Yep. All right. A lot of smoke, not an overwhelming amount of smoke. Let's not be incorrect here, but a good amount of smoke and peat and that gamey peatness that you would never get in a Canadian or American blended whiskey, but you will get in Japanese, Irish, and Scotch. All right. Because they use the peat fires. We don't. They do. We could. They do. We don't. All right. Okay. Now, could you make a mimic Scotch whiskey over here? Well, I guess you could. I don't know where you're going to get the peat. So, of course, you know our stuff is bourbon based. Bourbon based. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? Okay. These clearly are not. Okay. This is Inver House. Why do I say that? I'm not getting the smoke. I'm not really getting the peat. I am getting a lot of grain alcohol, grain spirits that are barely aged. You say, it's got to be 3 years. Okay. But the barrel might be 100 years old, so you're not picking up much from the barrel. You know, it's aged though, but you know, American blended whiskey could just be straight unaged grain whiskey. That's the difference. Grain spirits, grain neutral spirits, unaged. So you get a different pickup. And really with American blended whiskey, you'll get some really strange unrefined flavors like honeydew melon. You say, I didn't know whiskey was supposed to taste like honeydew melon. Yeah, neither did anybody else. Neither did anybody else. All right. But you'll get those weird, strange, and unusual flavors. Scotch, it's not as okay, bad. It's not as bad with that unusual character. Would I recommend trying American blended whiskey? Well, if you want to take a walk on the wild side, go ahead. You see, you might find it interesting. You might find it ghastly. You might find it terrible. You might hate it. But you won't find it expensive. All right. generally. You can get some expensive American blended whiskey, like at Walmart, TX, $22. I say, $22 for 20% straight whiskey and 80% grain neutral spirits, corn whiskey, corn alcohol, unaged. I said, I don't know. Something doesn't seem like a value here. He said, but look at the beautiful bottle. True. Nice smoke. Nice all around everything. Is J&B the best blended Scotch whiskey I've ever had? Yes. It's got more character. It's got more quality. It's obviously a higher percentage of malt, single malt whiskeys. You say, but it's $20-something a bottle normally. Yeah, and it's worth it. Can you get it everywhere? Not around here. Walmart has it. No. Walmart doesn't have it. Winn-Dixie has it. Mathern's does not have it. So I guess J&B is not that popular out here in the river parishes. Now, if you go down into New Orleans, well, yeah, of course, every store is going to have it. Every liquor store is going to have it. And a lot of them have the little bottles, the 375s. I guess people like to buy those and use them for whatever utilitarian purpose. So the J&B wins by a wide margin. There is no real competition here. The Inver House can't match up, but you would expect that because you're paying half the price and you're actually getting 250 more milliliters. So you pay less, you get more bulk whiskey, but it's inferior. You see, it's inferior. But a child could figure that out. So I'm saying this is the cut. I'm saying this is the Jill Sterny and Brooks of J&B. Let me check now. J&B. All right. So yeah, it's the winner. It's the real king of all the blended scotches I've got. The king. You say, what about Chivas Regal that you've been sitting on? The 12-year age. Oh yeah, what am I saying? I forgot. J&B is the king, but Buchanan's. Wait a minute now. Oh, forgot I had that 375 at Buchanan's. Okay, I guess Buchanan's was better. It was better. It was even richer than the J&B, even richer. And it's $34 a bottle now for the regular size bottle. So yeah, but I only had a half size, so I didn't get the full fun, the full enjoyment. I got teased enough, and then I had to stop because I had no more of it left. Could I go buy some more? Sure could. Could I buy a lot of the other Buchanan varieties, the even more expensive ones, $100 bottles? Yes, I could, and I might, because I bet those are fantastic. They're all blended, but I bet they're just great. So the J&B is like a mid-range, lower mid-range blended Scotch, and it's pretty darn good. Inver House is just a straight up low-end Scotch. In other words, cheap, value price, budget Scotch. Does it do fine in that role? Sure. Do you get a lot from it? Oh, this J&B is good. That smoke, that rich peat. Hey, dynamite, baby. Does this one do the trick for its price point in its realm? Oh yes, it's one of the better cheapos. Okay, you don't get much, but then on the other hand, you're not expecting much. Now, what's the next one coming up? Oh, I think it's 100 Pipers. And I think that's an even better value. I think 100 Pipers is going to whip up on poor old Inver House. Has a way worse looking label for the American market. That 100 Pipers for the U.S. market is a shabby looking label compared to what you get in Asia and Europe. But whatever, it's what's inside the bottle, and that's gonna it's gonna smoke out the Inver House because the 100 Pipers has a lot nicer smoke profile. Thanks for watching this video production. I'm going to watch the news now. J&B is the winner, as I predicted.